Namaste. Today I'm beginning a new series of videos based on the teachings of Ramana Maharshi, and I'm going to present it in a much more, hopefully in a practical and direct way. Although the teachings of Ramana Maharshi by itself is the most direct teachings to non-duality or to our own nature, yet in being able to comprehend it and to be able to abide with that requires that we sometimes have to break it down or take it a step by step so that we come to fully understand and abide in that truth that Ramana Maharshi was talking about. My own journey of life, of spiritual life, started when I was in my late teens or towards my early 20s. Years ago, at that time, I happened to chance across the teachings of Ramana Maharshi. Although I was dabbling with a few other teachings at that time, that very brief teachings of Ramana Maharshi, which is condensed in this simple self-inquiry called Who Am I, was so direct and so experiential for me that I almost want to drop everything and wholly focus on that teachings of Ramana Maharshi. So a few years later, I had that opportunity where I did go to Arunachalam, and I did live in the Ramana Maharshi ashram for some time. At that time, however, I soon very quickly realized that even though I was having opportunities to talk to different people, and also had certain spurts of very deep, profound spiritual experiences, I was not able to fully abide alone in that teachings or the knowledge that Ramana Maharshi had given. Now, nearly 30 years later, after having dedicated myself in paths such as yoga, meditation, and also scripturally trying to learn Advaita Vedanta, and also learning many of the Buddhist techniques, I have come now back in a way to really appreciate and also I feel understand with my own realization the teachings of Ramana Maharshi. So what I want to do in the next coming sessions is not just to give you one simple exercise such as who am I and ask you to contemplate on that, but actually to show you how if we take a step-by-step approach, or if we break down that whole teachings into different elements, we are able to then appreciate that essence of the teachings that Ramana Maharshi is talking about, which is the direct path, which is the essence of the teachings of Vedanta and Upanishads. So in the next few weeks, what I wanted to point out was this step-by-step approach. And what I'm going to do though is I'm not going to take either the two extreme stance of giving up all the other spiritual teachings and other sadhanas, because Ramana Maharshi himself appreciated that, or rather encouraged people to do other sadhanas, as you will see in one of his texts called Upadesha Sara, wherein he dedicates nearly half of the verses in that, about 16 verses in that, to other sadhanas such as karma yoga, bhakti yoga, and dhyana yoga. So before being able to comprehend the knowledge or being able to work with that knowledge doesn't necessarily mean that we have to give up that. So we can use and integrate according to our own proclivity, according to our own personality, certain sadhanas, certain practices which go along with being able to work with the non-duality. So in that sense, what happens is we stand and hold the view of non-duality as the highest knowledge or the highest philosophy, but yet we are rooted in our day-to-day life in being able to transform our own baser nature, which becomes an obstacle to the spiritual path. So we use the sadhana to root ourselves in all these practices and in overcoming all those shortcomings, while at the same time abiding in that highest supreme view, which was pointed out in the very simple inquiry of who am I? Now, one more point here is, while we also respect other sadhanas, the other extreme view generally is that we can just directly just abide by the direct path of the self-inquiry, and that we don't need to appreciate other teachings at all. So that's not the case, because you actually see even in many teachings Ramana Maharshi using a lot of Advaitic metaphors like the rope and the snake and other examples, because he himself saw the value of especially Vedantic kind of teachings. And in the West today, sometimes I've heard people talk more about how the path is so direct, so straightforward, and that there's no other teachings kind of required. If you're able to abide in the truth, if that natural realization has come into you, then perhaps it's true that you don't need any other teachings. But for those of us who don't have a lot of questions, who do have a lot of inquiries, and nor are we able to directly see into the nature of the truth, then we can use the support of other teachings. However, as Ramana Maharshi has cautioned, that we have to be careful on using too much intellectual logic, and without us engaging in such direct inquiry, we will not realize that truth for ourselves. And more or less, all realized masters talk about such things, and they do acknowledge that it's one thing to know the text logically by just memory or even just by understanding, and it's another thing to actually have experienced and realized that truth, because when you do so, then it becomes a part of you. It transforms you and it manifests in your day-to-day life. So what I'm going to do in the next few sessions is actually to be going through part by part and going through also step by step in different aspects of the teachings, and leading up all the way to that highest inquiry and teachings that Ramana Maharshi has given, and also to make it practical on how to apply it, how to work with it, how to practice it directly as contemplation exercises. So I hope you will join me in this series of practices and inquiries that we will do together, based on the direct teachings of non-duality as given by Ramana Maharshi. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Om.